Okay, thank you. Okay, we are now out of executive session. No votes were taken. It was noted, however, that on the agenda, the address is incorrect. It should be 19 October Hill. There was a mistake on the agenda, but we discussed the proposed settlement. And Jerry, do you want to just
Yes, the
explain what that
proposed
was?
settlement is, and the agenda does have the correct name of the owner of the property, just the street was incorrectly put on the agenda. The stipulation does have 19 October Hill Road. This case, as we discussed in executive session, and no votes were taken in executive session, it involves 19 October Hill Road. The town has agreed to a settlement for fair market value of $637,500, and that's the proposed settlement that I am making to the Board of Selectmen for approval. Previously, the town assessed the fair market value at $686,500, and the plaintiff in this case had an appraisal, which was presented to the judge, of $600,000. So the proposed settlement is approximately in the middle of the town's appraisal and the plaintiff's appraisal. So I would ask that somebody make a motion to accept this settlement.
Is there a motion to approve the settlement as described?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we will go now to our preference survey update. I know we have a couple of minutes, but
You could get yourself settled in the chairs.
you know what, as you're approaching, I will move acknowledgement of receipt of town clerk's report. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Walk slowly.
Welcome. We look forward to this update. I know this is pursuant to our town planning initiative, and we welcome hearing your update.
This is, just quickly, because then I'll let Lily do most of the talking. I haven't really told her what
Now,
I'm doing.
just, excuse me, move this microphone closer to, this is not picking up.
It's okay, everybody yells at me.
Is it on?
Oh, yeah, it's all on.
Can you hear me now? How about now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
So, and just for the few people who might not know, please identify yourself.
I'm Jeff Kaufman. Thank you. Chairman of Planning and Zoning. So we've engaged services of Leslie, as you know, to kind of go into the next step after one does a POCD. So the POCD is conceptual. This is what we'd like to see for the future of the town. So we've taken one area of town, as you know, I don't actually know what to call it, but down in Lucy Street, that area. And to look at, because our POCD is recommending mixed use, possible multi-family housing, but so that's what Leslie here is to look at. The other important thing that she's doing is, and this came up when there was an application approval for the gas station and convenience store across the street from Starbucks. Of course, we don't have anything on our regs for convenience stores. Well, not the size they want. And also gas and convenience stores. And there's multiple commercial zones down there. So one of the things is to make it so there's like a shorter list of commercial zones. And,
Thank you.
and
Thank you. My name is Leslie Crean. I'm principal at Crean and Company LLC. And so we're looking at reworking the zoning regulations for the business area and for the industrial area across the river. And the preference survey is being done really in lieu of public input session, not public hearings and not subsequent public input sessions, but just as sort of a jumping off point. We recognize that people are a little burnt out from the POCD process, and I certainly respect that. The other thing that I've found in my practice is that when you do a preference survey online, you tend to get a much wider range of demographic responses. So we're looking forward to that. We've just launched the first one. I know it's up on the town website, and I encourage anybody watching, please log on to the town website and go and fill it out. It literally takes it takes 3 minutes if you're thinking really, really hard about it. It's easy. It's which picture do you like better, and what are your great ideas about how to make Woodbridge an even better place. I don't know if it's been done yet, but I'm hoping that the link will get sent out to your over 1,000 people on your email, so that'll be great. And there'll be 2 more surveys after this. This one is primarily on mixed use and kind of the outdoor sidewalk roadway conditions. There'll be another one on residential and another one that is sort of a catch-all on community spaces. And we're really looking for, it's not scientific, we recognize that. It's a preference survey. What is your opinion? Do you like this picture or not? And then we take that information and we start to put it into regulations, into regulatory form in terms of numbers of stories, in terms of percentage of glazing on the outside, the facade of buildings, positioning of buildings in relation to the street. All kinds of things come from those photographs that are probably not evident to those not in the field. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Hello, you go first.
Hi,
then
how are
me.
you?
So, is it anonymous, first of all?
Yes.
Okay. And what is in place to prevent somebody from answering it 35 times?
It's done through Google Forms, so if you have 35 emails, you could do it through
Okay.
35
but
emails.
there is an email sort of.
Yeah.
I just want the public to know
Yep.
that.
Yes. Yes.
So, there's no
Stuffing in the ballot box.
there you go.
So to
Thank
speak.
you. So to speak. Yeah. Okay. So you
Right.
answer it once from any given email, and it's anonymous, and
Yes.
you're going to come back to us at some point or to planning and zoning with the results.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. You said you're doing multiple questions at different times. How long is the question up for? And is there any way, I was thinking maybe we could put something, probably the tax notices are gonna be filled to the brim, but letting people know, to respond to this, maybe.
I think it's too late for that.
Oh, okay, well, never mind that. but,
Very good idea.
Or how about running something on television, on the Channel 79 at the top, a runner, reminding people to log on.
That's a good
Just
idea.
a
That's a
good
good
way to
idea.
get it out. And how long does it take totally and how long do you anticipate these sections and till
They're
you're kind of
generally up
done?
for 2 weeks,
Okay.
because it's going to run into the summer
Mhm.
a little bit. There's really no harm in leaving them up for a while.
Sure.
I'm happy to leave them up all summer, frankly.
And
There's-
folks that
I'll-
don't do email, like my 91-year-old mother on Lucy Street, how could she?
She can either,
Her daughter.
She doesn't have email. I have to get her an
She
email?
can do it at the
Okay.
library.
Oh.
no, we can do paper
Okay.
and
Just in
put
case.
them in the libraries.
That's a good idea. Can you have all 3 up at the same time?
Sure.
And mostly it's, right now,
Thank
the
you.
one is choosing pictures, correct?
Yeah.
Do you like this kind of look or that kind of look? So it's kind of, you pick this kind of awning, that kind of awning. But I did have a follow-up to Beth, because I wrote a few things down. Do you have any type of flyer or small paper that talks about, here's the website, go on and take this survey? Only because you have a few very large events coming up in Woodbridge in the next few weeks, anything from the road race to Dr. Steller's retirement, but the concerts on the green come up very quickly with a Taste of Woodbridge, and the TP&Z has quite a large meeting that a lot of people from that particular area will probably be at the end of this month.
Actually, it might be a little relief to talk about that.
So, right, it might be a way to at least hit up quite a few people from that area to let them know where they have to turn and how to do it.
But to Susan's point, would it just direct people to do it online then? Oh, okay. That's a great
That's
idea.
the most efficient.
Mhm.
So maybe just.
I'm happy to put paper copies in the library.
We should put some here too.
Yeah.
And put them here, that's fine.
Good.
Yeah.
Betsy, maybe we can work on a
Yeah.
flyer and you can take care of the television. Really, the more The more results we get, the better. We want people's input, and
Well, I have a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of our little sandwich boards, and everybody in the world gets a sign in front of the fire truck and the firehouse, the old firehouse, and I mean, maybe there should be something like, don't forget to answer this survey, and you know, the address and with a big
The
sign.
banners?
So to Tony's point, when all these people are gathering, I mean, otherwise it's, can we make that happen? Make that happen.
Well, I'm not sure we want to invest in it. And again, this is not a scientific survey. We do want to encourage people. I actually looked at it, and I think one of the big advantages of it is that for someone who, you know, I don't visualize well what could be possible. I think it's valuable just for that. I mean, there were many times when there were two choices, and they both looked great, particularly, you know. So we certainly want to encourage everyone, but again, it's not really going to determine the direction. I don't know about putting up another banner. We'd have to get one made.
No,
and all.
I understand that.
But I think we should all use whatever means we have to put it out there. And again, Betsy will put it out on the listserv, which is 1,000 people right there, and we'll have it on the website.
Everybody's sharing on their Facebook.
Right.
yeah, I
Right.
really, it's,
It works that way.
the truth is, it's up to, you know, you all have the contact information and access to that to make this work or not. So I'm really, I encourage you to, you know, make sure your friends, your neighbors, you know, hey, did you fill out the website? And if any of you have done it already, you can attest to the fact that it really doesn't, like I said, it takes 3 minutes if you're really thinking about it. It's really quick.
Does it matter if it's Woodbridge residents? I mean, I suppose anybody can do it, but I don't know why they'd want to if they weren't. Yeah.
That is kind of the filter. Woodbridge business owners would certainly be encouraged.
Mhm.
Anybody who spends time in Woodbridge. You know, if there's somebody who frequents a specific restaurant or a doctor or whatever who feels part of the community and wants to contribute, no harm done.
I don't recall if you mentioned it, but I think this is pursuant to our Plan of Conservation and Development and some of the recommended actions that were in it. Is that
Yes.
correct? Any other questions?
Leslie, obviously I've never met you before. I
Hi,
mean,
nice to
somebody
meet you.
decided to do this with you, that's great. Would you tell me where you've done this in other towns in Connecticut?
Sure. Until recently, I was the town planner in Hampton, Connecticut for 13 years.
Oh, yeah,
And-
now I see. I know that you're familiar.
And we did a large charrette there and overhauled the entire set of zoning regulations for the entire municipality.
Excellent.
33 square miles and a population of about 60,000 people.
You're bigger than that, so.
So it was very successful. And the development that's being done based on those regulations now, it's happening slowly, it's incremental, but I've actually changed the way that I go home when I get off the Parkway because of how one area has developed recently, because it just feels better.
Oh,
And that's just from the addition of one store. So I've done it, so the largest one I've done is in Hampton. I've done several others. I've worked on projects in Rhode Island, a couple of others in Connecticut where I've been, you know, asked to consult.
just wanted to know, thank you. But your face did look familiar, and so I know now.
That's probably.
Anything else? No? If not, well, thank you very much. We look
You're very
forward to seeing the results. Thank you.
Great, and please, if you haven't filled out your survey, please do.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You all should be doing them too. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. We don't have any minutes prepared, so we will move to item 16, which are appointments. The first is to act on the recommendation of the Human Services Commission to appoint Susan Davidson as an alternate to the Greater New Haven Transit District. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions or discussion? Not? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the second is the recommendation to appoint Juan Hernandez. I think this is a reappointment.
It is a
is, yeah.
reappointment.
Juan Hernandez
Yeah, no.
to the Regional Mental Health Board through May 31st, 2018. I will make that motion. Is there a second? Any questions or discussion?
What does this board do? I'm not familiar with it. Sorry.
There's
But the
there's
letters,
paperwork
the
in your
paper's in
packet.
here. I can read it to you, but.
Oh, that one, sorry, okay, I missed that, sorry.
Talks about duties on the second page.
All right, okay, great,
Are you okay with that, Maria?
I'm fine.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. First Selectmen's report. Let's see. Before I go to that, I just want to clarify something. Maria, you asked about the country club people following up, and I said that everybody who comes, if there's anything to follow up, we do. Is there anything? I just want to make sure I understood your question.
What I wanted to see was that we have executive, because there was that we discuss a lot of things, just with us and not I think we need a general public, where there's more public participation in discussion of that's all I want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I thought you meant people who came with specific proposals, but that's fine. Yeah, we will
No,
definitely move
no.
that way. Okay,
I
good.
just want to see that in
Yeah.
the future.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. So, in this monthly report, I do want to, again, commend and thank our first responders for their extraordinary efforts over the last week. It was certainly a very difficult time for them, and they acted, as they always do, in an exemplary fashion. I also want to mention that the most recent Person of the Month is Nate Case. And we get recommendations for Person of the Month frequently, but so many people from different walks of life in Woodbridge recommended Nate. He's a volunteer firefighter. He's a Boy Scout leader. He's totally committed to maintaining Alice Newton Street Park, and if you've been there, it's so beautiful. And he's really an extraordinary volunteer, and I wanted to mention that to all of you. With respect to information technology, we've had various discussions about our town IT. I don't want to say system, because we have different pockets. We don't have everybody on the same system with the same vendor. And a town resident volunteered to head up an ad hoc committee to really take a look at it. And we've talked about this different times, and I think it would be extremely helpful. So I am appointing an ad hoc information technology committee. Jason Morrill, who made the offer, will chair it. Paul Kuriakose, who also has an IT background, will be on the committee with him. Tony will staff it. We can add people to this if you have ideas about people with expertise. We can certainly do that. The charge is to identify all town information technology hardware and software and the related services, policies, and procedures. Review the information that they identify, including budget histories for purchases, consultants, communication services, and others that are relevant, and to prepare a summary of findings and draft a recommended 5-year town information technology plan for consideration by the boards of Selectmen and Finance. Of course, they have no authority to take any action, but I think it will be very helpful to us to have some people with expertise look at it and see if we can do this better in a more consolidated and more efficient manner. I'm asking that they report by October 15th, 2016. If they find they need more time, of course, they can come to us, and I thank them for volunteering to do that. We also have our ad hoc committee looking at the first responder radio needs. I want to thank Joe and Susan for that. I attended that meeting with them. We've already talked about the update from the Department of Health about releasing the money for the senior center. We think that is finally imminent. And we've also had an update meeting on the solar project for the landfill. The issue we had with the state legislature putting a cap on the credits has been resolved. As I said, we were very active in taking a leadership role, and I think the governor just signed the bill within the last few days. We have had some news about the cost of connection, which is higher than our vendor anticipated, and we're looking into that to see if UI has given us a reasonable amount or not. So that's still in flux at this time.
No, excuse me?
Sure.
That solar field is for the town buildings only, or will it be shared to the town?
It's for government buildings. The law does not allow private
I see.
sharing. Hopefully it will move that way, but we can lobby for that too. But so far it's only for our town buildings, isn't that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think we can't do that,
Okay.
but it would be a great idea. So I do want to say I'm delighted that for the first time we now have a partnership with the New Haven Festival of Arts and Ideas. This is building on the Long Wharf partnership that we started. So we talked about June 22nd. At this time, June 22nd is a performance of something called Airplay, which they call a comic adventure for all ages. It's good for children and adults. This is a Woodbridge night at the event. There's a discount. You can find this online. And also there'll be a reception after the show for Woodbridge residents. So if people want to attend, it would be a great opportunity to do that. Of course, I attended the swearing-in ceremony for Police Chief Frank Cappiello. It was very well attended. I think a real testament to Frank's being part of our community and the enthusiasm with which the community has welcomed his appointment. I attended the Rotary wine tasting. Tony, I know, was very busy there. It looked like an incredibly successful event. I was at the Garden Club annual luncheon at Birchwoods. Again, I want to thank the Garden Club for all that they do for our town. The same day was Dr. Steller's retirement at Birchwoods, so lunch and dinner was the same thing.
That's right.
Memorial Day, the Woodbridge Volunteer Fire Department had their very moving and appropriate ceremony at the firehouse, and then we had our town ceremony. It was in the center gym because of the weather, and I want to thank Barry Joseph for being the MC. He did a terrific job, as he has done in the past. This week was Anthony Luciani's Eagle Scout Award ceremony. He built raised beds and a hexagonal table at Marrakesh, another incredible project by Eagle Scouts. I want to commend him and congratulate him again. And this week was also Darling House Tavern Night, and there were many people in colonial garb, looking very authentic. On school events, I attended the DARE graduation. The children were just terrific, of course, and I want to thank Officer Vinnie Lynch, who was there and does a wonderful job with them in the DARE program. Dr. Stella mentioned the Beecher Road School ribbon cutting ceremony, which is the culmination of this really terrific and far-reaching project, environmentally and security-wise, at Beecher Road School. Today was the 8th grade promotion at Bethany Middle School, which I attended, and there was a lot of enthusiasm and happiness in the air. With respect to economic development, we had another business sector meeting that Betsy's been organizing. This was retail and restaurants. We also had a follow-up meeting with DOT with respect to Exit 59. This team we have working on the project is terrific. We had the public meeting. They responded to the comments by members of the public, generally in writing, I think. People were just delighted at the DOT response. They came back to meet with us again to go over their responses. There are some changes they made. Roy Ivins made one suggestion that changed their plan. They've been very, very responsive and attentive. And I continue my monthly meetings with Mayor Harp, which again is so helpful for regional cooperation and for advancing some of these projects where when we work together, we get more attention at the state level. So that's my report. With respect to liaison reports, Government Access TV, PUA has asked me to remind you all that Cablevision is now charging us for our connection. That's a new charge. It was negotiated down from in the $40 per month range to the 20s, right? PUA somewhere in the 20s. It will mean slightly going over budget. I'm sure Tony's aware of that. But it's not a huge amount of money, but that is happening. At Amity High School, the board approved new district goals for next year and hired some new hires to fill empty positions. Also, they extended the superintendent's contract. They, in reviewing the goals and objectives, I did want to add that they're adding social and emotional health of students to their goals, which is a nice expansion of what they're doing. And I do want to not conclude without congratulating the Amity baseball team. For the 4th year, they are the state champions, which is quite impressive. And for some of those kids, all 4 years in high school, they've been on the winning team.
Fabulous.
So congratulations to Amity. Okay, Susan, anything?
I think I've covered everything. The
Okay.
chief was here, I mentioned Coopop, and are those the only 2 things I'm on? I think that covers it. I'm set.
Good, thank you.
Okay, I'll be brief because a lot of mine did happen
Yeah.
with the rest of the meeting. Fire Commission met on May 10th. As Tony mentioned, what'd I say?
Thank you.
That's a problem.
The chief reported that the budget is going to be tight, pretty much related to aging apparatus. They had I forget which engine.
3, I think.
3.
I think it was 3.
3, yeah. I guess the jury's still out on how much it's going to cost, but tow costs alone were pretty substantial, so it's unfortunate. But they're trying to keep an eye on it. They had a pump operator class at the fire department, attended by other fire departments. 2 days, the May 19th and June 4th. The newly elected officers were ratified by the commission. Assistant Chief Ted Pockwitz, Captain Adam O'Hara, Lieutenant Chris Boehner, Lieutenant Chris Risch, Lieutenant Anthony Baradeska, and Sergeant Nick Macarelli. And interestingly, there's some real new members moving up, so it's good.
Oh, that's very
It's
good.
very good. They discussed briefly that the radio tower at some point is going to be moved from 125 Bradley to Laurel Gardens. I don't know how that's proceeding, or he just brought it up, Chief just brought it up as something that's in the works. Fire Marshal performed 34 inspections, and they gave fire extinguisher classes to town employees, I guess?
Yes, they did.
Couple, 2 or 3?
Yep.
Yep, which is nice. I will give you the handouts from the April statistics, and their next meeting is June 20th. Inland Wetlands is meeting tomorrow, so I don't have a report yet. And then Human Services, Jeanette Glicksman and Nancy Fund presented the Career Readiness Program to 16 high school students from the alternative school and the business math class, and every student left with a resume, which I thought was really a great thing. And they'll be offering another 2 4-day course in July, and it's $15 to do that. I think it's a very nice thing. Red Cross Babysitter course is scheduled for July 12th and 13th. Awareness Week was held at the high school during the first week in May, and the focus was on several themes, including cancer awareness, Day of Silence for those who don't have a voice, culture awareness, and Stick to the Dreams. I guess kids wear bands on that day and walk around, and it's a voice for others. 8th grade graduation you mentioned, they said it was well attended. 7th grade picnic is scheduled for Thursday, August 25th. Summer's flying by. We already voted on Jeanette's position. They talked a little bit about that. That happened that night. A few additional papers are required, but the senior center bathroom is a reality coming up, so we already talked about that. And the 23rd annual Harvest and Holly Fair, the senior fair, it's now called the Harvest and Holly Fair, is already scheduled for Saturday, November 5th. They ordered new tables and chairs for the activity room. And the Greater New Haven Heart Walk that was on Saturday, May 7th, raised $1,029. So that's great. And their next meeting is August 1st because they don't meet in July.
Can I just say, I realize now the gap in my, EDC has not met since our last meeting, so that's why I don't have a report for that.
Just for
Thank you.
fun. I'll make copies of what they did.
Thanks.
Tony?
Thanks.
Okay, first Library Commission, they actually met last night, and Friends of the Library had a very successful book sale. It was 2 weekends ago. It was over a 3-day period, and even though there was heavy rain on Sunday and multiple Woodbridge events on that Saturday, they raised about $2,000 profit, so they were happy about that. The budget year-to-date for the Library Commission is going very well. There may be a sizable savings in the natural gas savings this year due to weather and other possibilities. There was a unanimous recommendation to hire the Adult Services Librarian, which we approved tonight. They're also dealing with some signage. They had hired someone to do some new signs for the interior of the library. Those signs will start to go up in the next month or so. They'll actually be starting to see them out on the library. Their next meeting is the 11th of July.
Getting like a break.
They're getting a discount.
Oh, I'm sorry.
they're getting a discount from a local resident who has a local company. So it should be a nice deal for everybody.
This is somewhere in between public comment and a member of.
That's right, that counts. The TP&Z, the last meeting was on the 6th of June. Their next meeting will be the 27th, is a special meeting at the Senior Cafe instead of here in the meeting room. And their next regularly scheduled meeting is the 5th, July 5th here. But the special meeting is due to the fact that on the 6th, the public hearing for the proposed changes to the permit of the Woodbridge Village Associates was continued. A special meeting will happen on the 27th because the Town Planning and Zoning Board felt it important to get additional traffic studies and a little bit more information. There was a very large crowd at the last one when the public hearing started. Most to speak against. There was a few of the owners of the association that were there to speak for. The development that was approved 10 years ago for a 55 and up housing area that would have included some mixed use with some commercial underneath on the bottom of some of the buildings and other details that were very thought out and a lot of time spent many years ago, 10 years ago, with the residents and with the Town Planning and Zoning at the time. Well, they came back asking for a very different permit, and they were asking for changes before their permit runs out, which is fairly soon. And those changes, they would like to see 150 units instead of 134. They'd like to lose the age restrictions and allow for families. They'd like to reduce the size of what their minimum requirement was, which was 1,000 feet, now it's 700, what they're asking for. They like to reduce the parking, and more, maybe most importantly, besides the age restriction part of it, is they also like to make them rentals, not sell them as originally condominiums planned or so if you have anything to say, either pro or against, the public hearing continues on the 27th. So that'll be happening at the Senior Cafe because of the expected crowd. Also,
Before you go to the next one, I just want to say on that topic, I understand there have been community meetings. I know that Kathy Wick has brought the attorney down there sort of to explain the kinds of changes they want to make to the residents who have been opposed to it. I don't know if they're changing their mind, but I know those have been going on with Michael Broderick and Kathy Wick and Jim Urbano with the residents.
I don't know if anybody's changing their minds, but the 27th, they'll certainly have an opportunity to whether they're for or against it, the public hearing would be continued. But also on that night, I'm going to mention that the other thing that did happen on the 6th was the continuation of the permit request change by the JCC to use their outdoor pool for other purposes other than camp, which is what they have the permit for now, and to allow for a different time of usage so that they can use it later in the day and on weekends, which currently is not allowed. So that has been an ongoing issue. Both the residents of that area and the JCC have attorneys involved now, and there's been some back and forth. The latest was there was a sound mitigation engineer that was brought in by the JCC. His report wasn't in enough detail that the Town Planning and Zoning decided to continue it again. However, we are now at the end of the time period, so that will happen as well on the 27th, and that should come to a conclusion, as I believe their period of time for this continuation of this hearing ends on the 28th. So unfortunately, both items will happen on the same night. They were planning originally not to have that happen, but it has happened. So come out if you're interested in either one of those. It would be the 27th in the cafe. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, it's a little off subject, but I believe that today was the 5th anniversary of Eric Supreme giving his ultimate sacrifice for the town and for the country. I believe today is the day. So I just wanted to say something about that because obviously the Supremes have been an inspiration for all of us, and we saw them at the memorial service as well.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
That's important.
Okay, so I'm liaison to two organizations, the Recreation Commission and the Board of Ed. I was away visiting my 94-year-old dad in the Philippines. My sibs wanted me to go home. Anyway, it turned out that he's all right, except last week he's in the hospital for pneumonia.
Since you came home?
since I came home. Yeah. So I was away from the 12th to the 28th. So there was a Board of Ed meeting on May 17. I really don't need to say much because I think Dr. Stella said everything I possibly could say, except that I'm doing something with the school. I have a citation from the Connecticut General Assembly citing their this Beecher Road School group called the Beecher Road Environmental Stewards because of what they've done for the environment, and I will be presenting it at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and to these kids. Okay. For the Rec Commission, all I need I wasn't there for their meeting, but I know that you can get their minutes on TV, online. All I need to say there is that they're very well prepared for the summer. They're very excited about their concert coming up, and we should all be there to support it. That they cleaned up all the necessary, fields, etc. to prepare for the summer. And best of all, you must have seen Anthony Taddy's report, which says that they have amazing number of members for the pool for this summer. So it's very impressive. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, Maria. Joe, anything?
Yeah, since unfortunately I didn't make conservation or CCW, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Were
Love
you in
you.
Italy? Were you in Italy?
Maybe for one of them, I don't know.
Is there a second?
I know it wasn't the Philippines.
Second.
Wasn't
All those
the
in favor?
Philippines. You didn't have to
Aye.
try.
Non-arguable.
Hey,